Metal Mike here, and in this episode of the 80's Glam Metalcast, we talk to Babylon A.D. vocalist and solo artist Derek Davis. We talk about the new projects he's involved with, and we go back to Babylon, discussing the classic albums by Babylon A.D. Check it out. Well, Derek, welcome to the 80's Glam Metalcast. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man.
Great to have you. So, Derek, you got a brand new single out. It's under the name Derek Davis and the Revolutionary Souls. It's called The Pandemic Blues, The Summer Days. What do you want to tell everybody about it?
I think everybody's kind of feeling about the same way as I do. Just starting, you get really bored and you're pulling your hair out. So that's kind of how the whole song started, with just me playing guitar and sitting around just about 3 weeks ago. And I came up with the idea, and I just felt that it would be a good song to introduce the band to the rest of the world with. It's a really cool band that I have. I've got great players in the band, some of the best players in the Bay Area that are in the band. I've got a great keyboard player, drummer, bass player, and guitar player, and plus there's me, and I play a little bit guitar too. The band's only been together for about really 6 months or so. We've only played 2 gigs. We had a bunch of gigs lined up, but they all, of course, got canceled. We've already missed like 4 gigs. So, we're just hoping this thing gets over with so that we can get out there and start, promoting what we got to show,
Will this lead to a full album at some point, Derek?
Yeah, we're working on new material right now. Right now we actually have 4 more songs. But it's going to take a while. The band is, like I said, this version of the band is only 6 months old, maybe at the most. So it's going to take a while. Me and the keyboard player, we write, all the songs and everything like that. And of course, we do a lot of covers too, and most of the covers are pretty different. Like, we do stuff by War and Stevie Wonder, and all the way to Bob Marley to Al Green, James Brown. Terence Trent D'Arby. So we do a lot of cross between stuff. The band is really soulful, and so we've got, it's a little bit different than stuff I've done before. It's a cross between reggae, rock, and soul. If I had to put my thumb on it.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll post a video. I'll post a link of this video because people got to see the video. Because like you said, it's got a reggae vibe. It's a wild track, but the video's crazy. When you guys are in masks and in suits, and there's all kinds of sci-fi shit going on. It's a wild video. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun making that video, man. It only took about 3 days to get the whole thing together, but it was really fun doing that video.
Now in 2019, you put out another solo album, Resonator Blues, and I gotta say, man, I didn't know what to expect. I'll be honest, I didn't know if I would like it or not, and I checked it out, and man, I really loved it. Your voice is there; it's you, but it's just a little bit more bluesier music. That's all.
Yeah. I've always wanted to put out a blues album, and I've been working on that material for quite a long time. At different points in my, over the last 5 years, I'd write a couple songs that were in a bluesy type of vein, and I'd do some Babylon A.D. stuff, and I'd write a soul song or something, or a pop song, and then I'd write a couple more blues songs. And when I got about 11 songs all together, I said, okay, well, I've got a product here, and I thought I had some pretty strong stuff. So we put the album out last year, and it did really well. It had a #1 single on the blues charts, which is the first time I ever had anything like that before. So that was very surprising for me, because I'm really known for more of a rock musician, But it's real, and we're still doing some of that, some of the songs in my new band, so we're keeping that stuff alive too.
Was the song that went #1 on the blues charts Mississippi Mud?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I'll once again put a link to that one in the video too, because that's a killer track. It really is.
Yeah. That one I actually recorded it a while back, and I had that in my pocket for a long time. And Jamie played, my drummer from Babylon A.D. He played the drums on it, and the video is pretty cool. It's an exterior outside video by a river running behind us. It's got that swampy kind of bluesy feel to it, so it's a cool song, and I was just really surprised that it went #1. I seen it climbing up the blues singles charts, but heck, I was happy just to get in the top 40. I was like, every day I'd wake up and I'd check it again. I go, the hell, this thing's climbing, man. When it hit number one, I had to toot my horn and send it to everybody, you know, like a quick photocopy of it and send it to everybody that I knew. So, you know, it only lasted a couple days, you know, but it still felt good. You know, here I am with, you know, Ella Fitzgerald and, you know, all these old blues cats, but, you know, some other guys, you know, Eric Clapton and Muddy Waters and people like that, and you're like, wow, this is weird, you know?
Yeah, if somebody told you that 30 years ago, you probably wouldn't believe it, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have believed it. You know, the funny thing is, 30 years ago, I hated blues. I didn't even like blues, you know? And I think it's just because I couldn't really see what it was. All the blues bands that I'd ever seen were just like, you know, some white guys up there on stage with ponytails, and they played blues really bad, and all I heard was dun, 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 you know?
Yeah. And
it wasn't until I started, like, checking out how to play slide guitar and harmonica players like Sonny Boy Williamson and, you know, Son House and Robert Johnson and stuff like that. I started researching that stuff and started listening to it, that I was like, wow, I missed a whole, it seemed like I missed a whole genre here, you know. All I did was jump from soul to hard rock, you know, and now I was discovering something new. So I taught myself how to play slide guitar, and I just immersed myself in the blues for a while. You know, there's still some pretty crappy blues stuff out there, and a lot of people still have that same idea that I had, you know. But, you know, if you really think about it, the best rock bands, you know, that have ever been really are all blues, blues influence, you know, Stones, people like that, you know.
Yeah, Zeppelin, yeah. And even the Doors later on in their career got real deep into the blues.
Yeah, I mean, almost anybody in the late 60s, 70s, and, you know, Fleetwood, I mean, you could go on forever, you know. You just go on forever with people that were influenced by the blues, you know.
For sure. What's going on with Babylon A.D.? I thought I read you guys were working on new music as well.
Well, we've actually got we probably have about 12 songs written, but for me it's like, just because you have them written and recorded as demos, you know, you sit back and listen to them after a while and you go, you know, this song's really not that good. I don't want to put that out. So, you know, if I was to be honest with you, I'd say we have a handful of maybe 5 or 6 songs that are strong enough to hit a record, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to take a while for that, you know. All the guys are kind of, I can't say semi-retirement, but we're just kind of kicking back, you know. We're just doing stuff a lot slower than we used to, you know. Nobody wants to go on the road or anything like that, you know. It's just too cumbersome, you know. We're a little bit older. Everybody's got good jobs or, you know, house payments and things like that. So we're not a bunch of kids that can run around and live in hotel rooms for $400 a week, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say it's over, but it's just kind of like on the back burner, you know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of doing both, you know, writing songs for both, you know.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the debut album, because to me, man, this is definitely one of the best debuts of the late 80s. I mean, I think every song on that album is great. How do you feel looking back on that album?
Looking back on the album, you know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I kind of agree with you, you know. When it came out, I knew that we had really good songs, but I wasn't really happy with the production, you know. But as the years go by and I listened to other stuff that was made during that period, you know, from like say 88 to 90, 91, that the sound and the quality and everything, yeah, I think we're a lot stronger and better than almost most of the bands I've heard. You know, Simon Hanhart produced that record, and I thought he did a great job listening back, but when we were recording the record, I didn't really think it was that good. It might have just because it took so damn long to do, and he was such a stickler, you know. He comes from the Bob Rock type of, he learned from Bob Rock, so he had that, you know, double all the guitars, double all the vocals, you know, do the vocal lines like this instead of singing the whole song, you know. So it was quite a learning curve for us at the time. But yeah, I agree with you, man. You know, every once in a while I listen to that album, and people tell me the same thing you tell me. You know, it's a very strong record, you know, especially for a debut, you know.
Yeah, and I can say, I mean, obviously I bought it when it came out, but there's a lot of albums I bought when they came out, and I don't really want to listen to them today as much. But that one, I don't know. To me, it's just, I think as you dig deeper into the album, there's a lot of great deep tracks, you know, especially you get to the end, and it's just a powerhouse all the way through.
Yeah, and there's some pretty cool stuff on there that are a little, it's not all just one thing. When you've got a song like Sally Danced on there,
That's what I was getting at,
yeah. You've got some blues and some harmonica stuff in there, and then you've got you got some blistering solos on Mary Ann, stuff like that, some good harmonies, and then you've got, of course, the hooky stuff like Dangle the Bells and Hammer Swings Down, Kid Goes Wild, stuff like that, It's kind of diverse. I wrote almost half that record with Jack Pawnee. So it did have sort of like a New Jersey Bon Jovi-ish kind of vibe to it a little bit,
Yeah.
That formula, I guess you would say. It wasn't really like L.A. style of a real dirty, grungy, faster pussycat type of stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it stood the test of time anyways, now that I look back and I think about it, and I see how many people feel the same way, and it's pretty surprising. It's pretty cool, too. And I know the funny thing is, I get my ASCAP checks every 3 months. And, songs are still selling. People are still buying the shit. So
that's
it's
awesome.
good to see.
How do you think Arista did for the label? I mean, they did put out 3 singles, which was pretty generous, I think, for a new band at that time. How do you think they did?
Yeah, that's kind of like a hit and miss kind of thing, because the problem was, like, Arista didn't have the people that were working for them like that Geffen had or Atlanta had, at that time. They didn't have the cool dudes that went out to the clubs and went out to the radio stations and hung out with the guys and formed that bond. It was basically like we were the guinea pig for the hard rock. We were the first band that they'd signed to hard rock. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They had, Barry Manilow and Whitney Houston and, Kenny G and all this other shit. And here we come along, and Clive was like, we're going to break these guys, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But the interaction of the company, of the people that worked there, they weren't geared for that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They didn't have relationships built with, KO and me and all the KSL and all the big stations, KNAC, so they had to work on that. Where other labels for other bands at the same time, if you were on Geffen, anyways, that's just because they were the best at promoting. They lacked that, So we definitely got attention, and they definitely spent money on us. But I just think that the people that were working in the PR department really didn't know what to think of us, because they didn't have any rock bands, so it was like an experiment for them, kind of.
Yeah. And sometimes a lot of these albums, I always used to think the singles that they released really weren't the best songs. But I'd say for you guys, I mean, I like all the songs, but the singles are very strong songs.
Well, thank you. I think it also hurt us in a way. Of course, we were stuck in where everybody hit at the same time, right? So, and we hit right at the same time too. But I think that we were about 6 months behind the curve on releasing a ballad, because when we got a record deal, Clive came up to me and he said, "This song, Desperate, we're going to make this a #1 song." And him and I talked about it at length, right? Mm-hmm. And then he said, "But we're going to release it third, because we're going to build you guys momentum up." So that was always the plan for a whole year. That was the plan, right? And then Orion Pictures approached us and said, "Hey, we want to put Kid Goes Wild, and we'll pay for half the video," and they talked Arista into like fronting all the money for it and everything. But we were like, "Well, wait a minute, I thought we were going to do Desperate," and they were like, "Well, let's do this one first," and it was like, oh man, I don't know, our album's been out a frickin' year, I mean, we better get to Desperate right now, and then how about this song? But on the timetable, it didn't work. So by the time Kid Goes Wild came out, and then they were going to do Desperate, they were like, "All right, the album's been out 16 months now. Why don't you guys go do another record?" And we were pretty pissed off and bummed out and let down, because we knew Desperate was a strong song. Everybody did, and radio stations that we go in to do interviews with would say, "How come you're not putting Desperate out?" And we were like, "Well, you have to try to make up a stupid, dumb mistake. Tell them it's a excuse, sorry, and make up something and this or that, whatever." But it's so that's what I mean about the PR part. They really didn't understand. If they would have jumped on Desperate, probably put it second or third, maybe we would have had a chance to survive and become a multi-selling platinum record out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of just going gold. You know what I mean? because right about that time, ballads were pretty strong on the radio, you know, and we didn't have one, you know. We were almost a year behind everybody else for putting a ballad out, even if we were gonna, you know. So we kind of missed our shot, you know.
But you did get to hang out with RoboCop.
yeah, that is true.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Definitely.
And Sam Kinison, that's cool.
Oh, Kinison, yeah. How did I forget Kinison? Of course. You know, here's another one. Let me ask you if anyone's ever brought this to your attention. But to me, back in Babylon, it sounds like Metallica liked that song. It sounded like Enter Sandman a little bit. You hear it?
Yeah, no, I never thought about that before, but yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, yeah, I can hear like some bells and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, you know how they start with the toms in the beginning of Enter Sandman?
Right.
Yeah. I think Metallica stole something from you, man.
That's what I'm thinking, because didn't that album get released in '92?
Yeah, or '91 or something. Yeah, '90s, early '90s. Yeah.
I think it was released after ours. Yeah. Well, those guys are from the same neck of the woods that we are. When we were kids, we used to go to house parties and stuff like that, and they'd be playing in like somebody's garage, and we'd be playing over here at somebody else's garage. Before they even made their first record, and when they did make their record, all of us in the Bay Area were like, "Hell, shit! These guys made their first record. How could you do that?" We didn't know that you could make your own record. They got some money together, and they got their parents to give them some money to make a record, and they made a record. Almost the same thing with Motley Crue, but we didn't have the money or the balls or no knowledge how to do it.
And then we got to talk about Sally Dance. We talked about that a little bit, but man, what you got some very emotional vocals on that one. It's got a cool story. That's a killer tune.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
So what about Second Coming? How do you feel about that one?
About what?
Second Coming.
Second Coming, what's that?
And you're so crazy, fool.
Oh, Nothing Sacred. Sorry, I'm thinking your second album, Nothing Sacred.
The second album, Nothing Sacred. It is the second
It is.
coming.
It was your Second Coming.
Yeah. That was a fun record to do. Unlike the first record, which was a pain in the ass, we got a lot of trouble in that first record, just being stupid and drinking too much and partying too much and going overrunning on the record, because everybody's filling your head like you're a rock star, that kind of shit. You start believing it. But by the time we did the second album, we were a little bit more grown up, and I'd always wanted to work with Tom Werman my whole life,
right.
Since I was a kid, listening to records and listening to Cheap Trick and the Babies and Ted Nugent and stuff like that. And every time I turned the record over, it was Tom Werman. I was like, fuck, man, I can't wait to work. Someday that was my dream, to work with Tom Werman. And we hit him up, and he liked our songs, and he was like, yeah, I'll produce you guys. And I'm like, holy shit, man. So that was really cool, because working with him was very, very cool. We got a lot of knowledge from him and Eddie King, the sound engineer guys that worked there. I was in there every single day, from day and night, worked on everything with everybody, Tom even said we should give you a producer's credit, and I said, no, man, there's no freaking way. But it was really cool, man. And then that album, we kind of got screwed on that a little bit too,
right.
Because while we were making that record, Nirvana came out,
Yeah.
And here we were sitting in the studio making our album, and Nirvana's on MTV, and they're doing their thing, and then Soundgarden comes out, these other, all these Seattle bands come out, and we're still in the studio making our record, So by the time our record came out, well, hell, man, it was like we were out on the road for like about 8 months or a year, and people were coming up to go and saying, almost laughing at us, like, oh, how does it feel to be a hair band? And the first couple times I heard that, I was like, what the fuck are they talking about, hair band? What?
Right.
Does that mean we have hair? I'm lost. I don't get it, because I didn't watch MTV. When you're on the bus for fucking months at a time, you're not watching MTV and shit like that.
Right.
So if that's the thing that people are saying, I wouldn't have no clue. You know what I mean? I was kind of like in a bubble on a bus. But when I did hear that, I didn't even know what the fuck they were talking about until somebody had to explain it to me. Like, no, hair bands are out now, and so are leads. You don't play lead guitar, and you don't have long hair. I'm like, who the fuck thought of this shit?
Yeah.
the next thing I know is anybody that played lead guitar stopped playing lead guitar. I think even Metallica fucking had a few songs that came out that didn't have no lead guitar in them. And I was like, what the hell is going on here, man? You know?
Yeah, it was definitely a dark
time.
I just didn't
get it, man. I didn't get it. That you had to go to that extreme, you know, that you had to stop. And I remember even having a conversation with my guitar player, Danny. He was like, well, when we start making our next record, maybe we should play less lead guitar. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Just because everybody fucking wants to jump off the bridge don't mean we got to jump off with them.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And then kind of what happened? When did you guys, did you phase out, like by 93, or what happened?
Yeah, well, the album came out, I think it was February of, if I remember right, maybe February of 92.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right.
And I think we got dropped around March or April of 93.
Mm-hmm.
June of 93, I think it was. And that's when everybody got dropped.
Yeah.
You know? People were dropping like flies. Every band was dropping like flies before us, and we kept thinking, no, man, Clive loves us. You know, because we had a pretty good relationship with Clive. We're like, he's not going to let us go, man. And sure enough, man, we started hearing whispers like, oh, man, we're going to go. But we were thinking, like, well, the bands are getting, I mean, Warren even got dropped before us, you know.
Right.
Like, how could they get dropped? They could have sold 2 million records or whatever, you know. And then they cut the shit with us, you know. It was like, yeah, you know, we had a 10 record deal with you guys, but no, we're not making another one. Here's some money, go away.
Oh, so you had, it was a 10 record deal?
Yeah, we had a 10 record deal.
Wow.
Yep. So we thought we were going to be there for a long time, you know. And then everybody climbs in with their tail between their legs, and they go home and cry to mommy, and oh, fuck, what are we going to do? None of us had jobs, you know.
Right.
We've been playing music we moved down to L.A. in 88, you know, so we've been playing music and living down there and for when we weren't on the road for, you know, 5 or 6 years, whatever the hell it was. And then we all had to come back to the Bay Area and start all over and become different human beings, really, because the music business was over, you know, for our genre of music. It was basically dead in the water. There wasn't nothing you could really do. And at that time, I think there might have been like a recession going on, and all the clubs were closing. It was just a really shitty period. I remember like 93, 94, 95. Really sucked, you know. And if you remember, even the music that was coming out wasn't really grunge anymore. It was really kind of downer kind of music and everything, and oh, woe is me and all this shit. You remember that?
Yeah, it was kind of blah. It was a blah period.
Yeah, it was like that, you know, really downer. So, of course, we were all down, too. Like, what's the point of going on, you know? You kind of get in that. And so everybody, you know, but we became men, you know. Before that, we were just a bunch of fucking college like a college frat boy team, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A bunch of just drunken partying, having fun, fucking and going crazy and doing whatever the hell we want, you know, night and day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Night turned into day and day turned into night. You really didn't know which one was which most of the time, you know.
Yeah. Did you form any? Did you ever do another band or anything?
Yeah.
Did you have any other projects that you did during that period?
You know, shit, man, I almost gave it up for a couple of years.
Did you?
Seriously, you know, I got married and I had a kid and I got in a painter's unit and became a painter. You know, it just felt really weird to have a regular job, you know.
Yeah.
But it just became like a normal Joe for a while, you know. Maybe for about 4 years, I was just like a normal guy. I didn't really play anymore. I played acoustic at my house and, you know, fooled around and wrote some songs. And I built my recording studio, and I just started writing songs, and they were really poppy. They really weren't Babylon A.D. type of songs. They were really poppy type of songs. And then I did some blues stuff with a couple cats, and I played in Moonshine. I don't know if you've ever heard the band Moonshine,
No.
but I played with them for about 2 years. That was a great band. I mean, Michael Anthony from Van Halen really helped us out. He was he kind of like a co-manager of the band. You know, we got seen by quite a bit of labels, and we thought we might get a deal too. And that was about 95, you know. And it was like a southern rock. It was really, really cool band, you know, B3 organ and slide guitar, and you know, it was a shit kicking southern rock type of band. Look it up, man, if you've never heard of it. It's called Moonshine. It's really, really good album. So I sat on that record for like 15 frickin' years. You know, I had the record, I had the tracks, I had everything, you know, and we didn't get a deal. So I just said, fuck it. You know, I kept all the songs, and then about 3 or 4 years ago, I called up the guitar players, and I said, hey, you guys want to release this shit? And they said, fuck yeah, go ahead, man. I said, all right. So I released it. And I tell you what, it's the funniest thing, man. That record still sounds great right now today. You know, I mean, we did it at Eddie Van Halen's house, 5150 Studios. Jane Childs sang on it. Michael Anthony sang on it. What the hell's his name? Losing my train of thought. But there was a couple big producers that produced it. And this was all free, basically. They just gave it to us for free. Wow. You know, because they believed in the band so much. Yeah. It was really, really super. It was 2 years of really good time, you know. Yeah, so it's I don't know, you know, what can I say? It was a great band. I kind of wish that band was still together. I'll be honest, looking back, how good it was, you know.
Well, let's fast forward a little bit to 2017. You guys did Revelation Highway, and it's got the classic Babylon A.D. sound on it. Yeah, I kind of think so. You know, we pulled out some songs. John Matthews came back in the band because Danny really didn't want to move forward anymore. So John Matthews, who was the original guitar player who played on part of the first album, and then left, and then Danny got in the band. You know, we had good songs, man, when we first got our record deal with Arista. So we pulled about, I think, 3 or 4 of those out of the hat that we had years ago that we had demoed. You know, and we just kind of beefed them up and you know, we rewrote a little bit parts here and there and stuff like that. And then we put the new songs together with them. So maybe that's why it has kind of like a classic Babylon A.D. sound, you know, because some of the songs were written actually in like 88, 87 and shit, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So, yeah, but yeah, I thought that was a really, really good album, man. I was really happy with the whole thing. But then again, you know, it's like not enough people are buying hard rock nowadays. You know, it's hard to find that niche. You know, really hard to find that niche.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and you know, even like the United States is a kind of an issue where you can go over to Europe and you can play big festivals, and those people are really rabid for heavy metal. And here, it's just not there. It's unfortunate.
I know, man. We go over to Germany and we're a big band. We
come crazy, back, right?
You know, and it's like, hey, there's 50 people out there. Hey, what's up? You know, it's really strange, man. Yeah, over there in Germany and England and places like that, man, they love their bands, man. They are fans to the death, man. They got their patches on, their jackets, and they're going for it, man. Just like it was here in like 70s and 80s, you know. But yeah, it's so weird how the United States is kind of just like zapped by everything, and we're into such like electronical rap type of poppy shit that doesn't really have any musical value to me. You know, but then again, my son keeps saying that I'm getting old. That's why, and I'm like, no, it's just that I know good music and you don't.
But you know what's funny is that kids have to kind of, if they want something that's rock or something interesting, they have to gravitate to the old bands. My kids are all teenagers. My kids are all teenagers, and they love the Beatles. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't get any better than that. So they got good taste in music, and I think there's a lot of kids out there that go after, you know, AC/DC and Kiss and all that kind of stuff because there's nothing like that.
That is true.
There's nothing.
That is true. They find that niche, you know. I know two of my nephews did, and they don't even listen to anything that my sons listen to. You know, a completely different polarized world, and they're listening to old 80s shit that I played.
Yeah.
You know, but my sons aren't. They're listening to some electronic, like I said, whatever flavor of the month is. You know, and you're like, so disappointing, man.
Well, I think that's why that's why I have the podcast, and that's what I do on my Twitter. I've, as an adult, I've gravitated back to the 80s because to me it was a great time. Tons of great music, great memories, and I just try to keep it alive. I understand that it's not going to be, you know, #1 again or anything like that, but people love it. You know, it's nostalgia, and it reminds us of good times. And it's like you said, albums like yours, I can go back. It still sounds incredible to my ears. So hey, man, I'm going to keep going with it.
You know what was great? I don't know if you've seen this, but have you seen this documentary? I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon or Netflix, one or the other. It's called The Rainbow.
No.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Man, it's all about the rainbow and the whiskey, and it's so cool to watch, man, because it has all the footage from back in the day. It has interviews with Slash and almost anybody you could think of, and they talk about the owners who started it, like in 1956. They started at the whiskey, and then they moved to the rainbow, and they talk about, you know, everybody that they met, Jim Morrison, I mean, anyone you could think of that was a rock star they hung out with, they partied with, they were there when Janis Joplin died, all this shit, you know?
Wow.
This is the family that basically owned the whiskey, and then they owned the Rainbow, you know? It's so cool, man, because it just brought back so many memories to me, because they showed so much video footage of, like, when we were there. You know, the crowds down the street, the thousands of people just on the street on a Wednesday night, just blocking traffic. You know, everybody giving out flyers and bands playing everywhere. It was really, really super cool, man. So it's kind of like the history of the Rainbow. And then they throw in the whiskey in there, too, you know?
That
and
sounds
the Troubadour
cool.
and a few other places. Yeah, it's really cool. It's almost like they should have just called it the Hollywood Sunset Strip. That's what they should have called it, you know?
Well, man, what do you got to say to your fans in closing here? What do you want to say?
Well, I just want to say, I'd like to say thanks to everybody that's still around and still listening to, you know, Babylon A.D. type of music. And, yeah, it's good to know that there's still fans out there. It really, really is. You know, it keeps my fire burning, you know. I like to experiment with a lot of different types of stuff. So if you like Babylon A.D., you know, give my music a chance. It's still my voice. You know, I just like to experiment and try different stuff. You know what I mean? I don't like to be pigeonholed. But, you know, what the funny thing is, most of the people that hear my stuff, you know, the Moonshine stuff that I put out a while back, this last album, you know, even the Revolutionary Soul album that I put out about 4 years ago, I get nothing but great reviews and great respect for that kind of stuff. And it keeps me going. You know what I mean? I don't want to quit, you know, but if everybody said, you better give it up, I might.
Right.
You know?
Well, hey, and I forgot to mention this, man. Your voice still sounds killer. Like on that new stuff that I've been listening to of yours, your voice is intact.
Yeah.
So everybody's got to check it out.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Well, hey, Derek, thanks for the conversation, man. Stay safe and be healthy.
Okay, brother. Good talking to you. Thank you.
Yep, take care. Well, that was a cool interview with Derek. I apologize if I didn't know what the hell I was talking about at that one point with their second album. But hey, it happens. Hope you enjoyed it. Rock on!